In at number 10, we have a tale from the infamous Alcatraz prison. A prisoner claimed to have made a pact with the devil himself, only to be found dead in his cell the next morning. A chilling encounter with the Prince of Darkness. Picture it if you dare. The flicker of candlelight, the whisper of an incantation, and the slow, creeping realization that something has answered the call. The prisoner, driven mad by confinement or perhaps seduced by the promise of power, had summoned something beyond his control. He looked into the eyes of the devil and saw his own soul reflected back at him. The next morning, as the cold light of dawn crept into the prison, the guards found the man dead in his cell, his face twisted in terror, his eyes wide open, as if he had seen the very face of evil itself. And perhaps he had. Ah, my dear fright seekers, tonight we delve into the supernatural, where the boundaries between this world and the next blur into terror. Join me as we uncover the top 10 prisoners who had paranormal experiences with the devil. Hold tight, kiddies, these tales are truly diabolical. Next, at number 9, we have a prisoner from the Salem witch trials who was accused of consorting with the devil. Her haunting screams were heard throughout the jail, and her ghost is said to still roam the halls. A terrifying tale of witchcraft and wickedness. In those dark times, the land was gripped by a fear most foul. To be called a witch was a sentence of death, and innocence was no shield against the flames of hysteria. Among the accused was a woman, the soul whose name history has forgotten, but whose story lives on. Her neighbors spoke in hushed whispers, casting sidelong glances, and children would cross the street to avoid her path. Was it her piercing eyes, her mysterious ways, or merely the whisperings of superstitious minds? None could say for sure. In at number 8, we have a prisoner from Eastern State Penitentiary who was believed to be possessed by the devil. Witnesses reported strange occurrences and demonic voices, a horrifying possession that chills the soul. Once upon a ghastly time, Eastern State Penitentiary was known as a place of punishment and penance. Its cold, looming structure was enough to strike terror into the heart of any wayward soul unfortunate enough to find themselves within its walls. But dear listeners, the horrors that lay within were not merely of this world. Within the gloomy corridors of this cursed place, a prisoner was brought, a man whose crimes were dark, but whose fate was to be darker still. From the very first night, something was amiss. Guards would report strange sounds coming from his cell, guttural whispers that slithered through the shadows and curled around the mind, promising torment and despair. Next, at number 7, we have a prisoner in the Tower of London who claimed to be an advocate for the devil. His dark writings and eerie chants were a nightmare come to life. Oh, dear readers of the macabre, the guards soon began to whisper about the devilish advocate locked away in the shadows. His cell became a place of dread, for it was within those cold stone walls that he would chant eerie incantations that resonated with the very essence of evil. Night after terrifying night, his voice would rise in a cacophonous crescendo, summoning wickedness, calling upon demons, and proclaiming his allegiance to the forces of darkness. A dance with the devil was unfolding, and its choreography was penned in the blood of his very soul. In at number 6, we have the cursed cell in West Virginia Penitentiary. A prisoner who dabbled in dark arts claimed to have summoned the devil, leaving behind a cursed cell that no one dares to enter, a tale of terror and torment. Once housed within the impenetrable walls of this ghastly penitentiary was a prisoner with a mind as black as coal and a heart as hard as the very stone that encased him. His name has been lost to the annals of terror, but his wicked deeds remain a stain upon the fabric of reality. A man not merely content with the villainous path that led him to his cell, but one who sought to dance with the ultimate darkness. Yes, dear shivering souls, he dabbled in the dark arts, summoning demons and invoking infernal powers. One night, when the moon was hidden and the wind howled like the lost souls of the damned, this malevolent magician decided to perform a ritual most foul. His goal, none other than to summon the devil himself. Next, at number 5, we have a prisoner in Sante Prison, France, who made a bargain with the devil for his freedom. His mysterious escape and subsequent madness are a horrifying reality that sends shivers down the spine. Within the walls of Sante Prison, among thieves, murderers, and villains of every stripe, resided a man consumed by desperation. His crimes, though severe, were overshadowed by a desire to break free from the chains that bound him. His mind, a whirlpool of torment, sought any means to escape, no matter the cost. But what cost, dear dreadful readers, is one willing to pay for freedom? For this lost soul, the answer was found not in human cunning but in the supernatural, the infernal, the damned. Yes, my shivering listeners, he sought to make a bargain with the devil himself. In at number 4 we have the haunting of Newgate Prison in London. A prisoner who was executed for witchcraft claimed to have spoken with the devil. His ghost is said to still haunt the prison, a chilling reminder of his dark past. Newgate Prison, with its history of pain and punishment, has seen its fair share of dreadful deeds and heinous criminals. But among the damned, one prisoner stood out, his story wrapped in shadows and superstition. A man accused of witchcraft, of consorting with dark forces, of speaking with the devil himself. This tormented soul, whose name has been lost to history, was known only for his dark arts and sinister practices. Rumours swirled around him, whispers of black magic, of cursed spells and infernal pacts. They said he could summon demons, control the elements, and peer into the very depths of hell. Next at number 3, we have a tale from Potesti Prison in Romania. A prisoner claimed to have danced with the devil and was found dead with a twisted smile on his face, a macabre dance that chills the blood. One night, when the moon was hidden behind a dark cloud and the prison was shrouded in an eerie silence, the prisoner began to dance. A slow, twisting dance, his feet moving to a rhythm only he could hear. His eyes glazed over, his lips twisted into a wicked smile. He danced as if possessed. His fellow prisoners watched in terror as he twirled and swayed, his body contorting in unnatural ways. He spoke of dancing with the devil, of feeling his hot breath, of hearing his dark laughter. He danced and danced, lost in a macabre trance, his soul consumed by the dance of death. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. In at number 2, we have a prisoner in Chateau de France who was found with the devil's mark on his body. His dark rituals and eerie chants were a snapshot of a terrifying reality, a true horror story. One fateful night, a guard, driven by curiosity and dread, peered into the prisoner's cell. What he saw, dear readers, would haunt him for the rest of his days. The prisoner, stripped to the waist, was etching symbols into his flesh. His eyes, wild with madness, glowed with an unholy light. His body, covered in marks and scars, bore the unmistakable sign of the devil. The guard stumbled back, his mind reeling, his body shaking with terror. He sounded the alarm, and the prisoner was dragged from his cell, his dark rituals exposed, his connection to the infernal revealed. The authorities were called, the church was consulted, and the prisoner was examined. The mark of the devil, they confirmed, was indeed upon him. A brand of evil, a sign of a pact with the Prince of Darkness. Finally, at number 1, we have the Devil's Whisper in Ohio State Reformatory. A prisoner claimed to have heard the devil's whispers, guiding him to commit unspeakable acts, a tale that chills the soul and haunts the mind. The story begins with a prisoner whose name history has chosen to forget, yet whose actions are forever etched in the annals of terror, a man of ordinary appearance, but with a darkness lurking within. He was not always this way. Once, he was just another inmate, serving time for a crime less sinister. But as the days turned to weeks and the weeks to months, something began to change. The other inmates noticed it first, the way he would stare into space, his eyes vacant, his face contorted in a grimace of horror and fascination. Then came the whispers, incoherent at first, then growing louder, more insistent. He would mutter to himself, his words a mix of gibberish and invocation, his voice trembling with a fear and a longing that none could understand. The guards were concerned, the chaplain was summoned, and the doctors were consulted. But no one could reach him, no one could understand what was happening inside his tormented mind. And there you have it, my dear ghouls, a glimpse into the terrifying world of prisoners who had paranormal experiences with the devil. Remember, these tales are not for the faint of heart, and sometimes the supernatural can be a real scream.